Hey guys, this is Dragon Ball for Life here. Today I'm back with another video, and in this video I'm going to be reacting to Hey guys, this is Dragon Ball for Life here. Today I'm back with another video. In this video I'm going to be reacting to Death Battle's Thor versus Vegeta fight. Now I mentioned prior when it first was announced that I was going to be reacting to this episode, so here it is. Before I get into it, there's a couple things. I want to say a big thank you to everybody that has subscribed to my channel. My channel's gone up to 20 subscribers now, and my last few videos have been gaining a lot of viewership compared to my usual videos. So I'm very proud of that. I mean, I think my I forgot which one it was. Oh yeah, it was the why I hate the Cell Saga / Rand video. That is my fastest growing video of all time. I mean, it's reached 95 views already, I think, within less than a week. So it's been doing really good. So yeah, thank you for that. That means a lot. Also, today's Goku Day, because it's 5/9. So yeah, happy Goku Day. I'm also going to be making a video specifically talking about Goku himself on Goku Day, because, it's his day. So why wouldn't I? Yeah, so I'm going to be watching this. Unlike my other videos, the other death battles that I, watched or talked about were basically ones that are they were older ones, so they've already been done. Whereas this one is new, so I'm not gonna be really debunking this as much as reacting to it and giving my synopsis on it. I will be calling out stuff if it's wrong, but I will admit I don't know that much about Thor as I do about Vegeta, so I might be lacking in knowledge when it comes to Thor. So I'm not going to say I know everything about him and I'm 100% understand, but I do know quite enough, and I'm just hoping to see if I can understand the feats that they use in this. So yeah, let's get into this. And also I'm going to be reacting to and making a video on Android 18 versus what's her name, Captain Marvel video. That video, I have some problems with it, and there's some stuff I wanted to talk about that in that regard. So yeah, let's get into this video first, and we'll do that somewhere down this week. So yeah, let's get into the video. I will be skipping the fight itself. I'm just staying with the post-analysis and the pre-analysis. No, the pre-analysis and then the post-analysis. I'm not going to be showing the in-fight because it doesn't really matter. Also, I really don't care about animation for it. It's always just 16-bit. Let's get into it.
Son of the All-Father.
6'6", 640. Damn, he's huge. I mean, I heard somewhere, I think it was there's a book that Marvel had where it showed his weight, and he was heavier than that. He was like over 700 pounds, which is crazy.
Thor lived the life of a warrior prince, battling all manner of magical foe for thousands of years. That is, until he got a little too big for his britches. So to teach him a lesson about humility and compassion and whatever, Odin exiled him to the worst place in the universe, New York. Ooh, you hate to see it. Thor's Asgardian body is immensely durable, immune to disease, and capable of healing far faster than any mortal man. He's also the literal god of strength. We're talking lifted a planet-sized serpent strong.
Yeah, that's, I mean, if you played the God of War game, the newest one, you would see that it was the giant one, snake one. I forgot what his name is. But yeah, he is stated in mythology to be big enough to wrap itself around the planet like twice. Warrior's Madness, that is, if you guys don't know about Thor, Warrior's Madness is basically like a power-up boost. Like, you know how Saiyans have their Super Saiyan transformations? This is basically a rage boost that he gets to get stronger. The only problem with it is he starts to become more animalistic, so he loses his intelligence. So it does increase his physical and natural abilities, but it will dump him down. So that could be a give or take situation in this fight. So if you guys see my head down.
Arm wrestling with Hercules and almost throwing the Earth out of orbit strong.
I don't know about
was once blasted with a graviton bomb, which subjected him to the gravity of a neutron star. That's over 200 billion.
The detonation of this is literally soundless, but Thor is instantly subjected to gravitational attraction akin to that of a neutron star. I want to say it's that much times Earth's gravity. It is that much in scaling wise. The way neutron stars and stuff work is, if you look at the sun itself, it only has 27 times the Earth's gravity. So ours is 1G, it's 27 Gs for the sun. And neutron stars, since they're super small, they're like the size of a state, they, even though they're small mass and size, they have a high gravitational pressure, but the gravitational pressure is still just equivalent to the sun because it's so small. Obviously, if it was the size of the sun, it would be astronomically high, like this level. But I don't think that a neutron star is literally what's the thing called? I don't think a neutron star is as dense. I mean, the gravity is that high. I think it is the same size as the sun. Obviously, if it was the size of the sun, it would be far bigger. But since it's super small, the gravitational pressure is high, but not that much higher. So I think this is them putting in misinformation. They've done it before. I'll check myself. They're showing different stuff. I wish they put sources to where they got these, feats from. Like, when they say a comic book character did this or that. I wish they would give us like saying, oh, it was in this comic book in this issue, so we can go check it out ourselves to see, to double check if it's correct or not, because they do misconstrue a lot of information. So I don't know about that one yet.
Greater than Earth's gravity, and he's got the stamina to match. He's able to fight for 40 days and 40 nights
Yeah,
without
absolutely.
stopping. And what better weapon for the god of storms to wield than a sentient cosmic storm? Eons ago, the almighty god Tempest rampaged through the universe.
This is new lore.
Asgard, and after a pitched battle, Odin managed to trap it within a block of the magical ore Uru that he would forge into his son's hammer, Mjolnir. Oh, what more can be said about this beautiful thing? Forged in the heart of a dying star that went supernova and killed the dinosaurs, Mjolnir is maybe my favorite thing ever. He can channel bolts of lightning, manipulate the weather, open...
Doubles Thor strength. I don't know if they're going to say in this one, but in their previous one where they did Thor versus Raiden, they stated that Mjolnir was made out of a dying star, like a neutron star, because it was made inside a dying star, but that... It was just made in a dying star, not from a dying star. It's two different things. Even if you see Stanley, he stated that the hammer weighs, I think, like 41 or 44 pounds. The only reason it's like a problem is because, the worthy curse, or like, the enchantment on it, whereas you have to be like Thor or worthy as Thor, whatever they mean by that, to lift the hammer. You can't just naturally lift the hammer without, meeting the requirements. It doesn't matter about strength. It's more about the enchantment. So no, it wouldn't. They didn't say it in this one, but just know that it's not made from dying star. It's just made in a dying star, and they made that mistake in the previous one, but that was years ago. So who knows? They might have probably. They wouldn't need the entire Avengers to take on Galactus. Of Thor himself with that power or ability could do it, unless if there's some severe drawback to it or some severe threat that he's like, yeah, I can't use it. Galactus should have never been a danger to them then, because before they've always needed the entire, Avengers with him included. Like I said, the tricky thing about them is they do give out some viable information, but a lot of stuff they say is wrong. And usually when it comes to these characters, I check out these, I watch the video and then I do my own research and find it to get the most, accurate depiction of their strength and what they could do. But in this one, like I said, I don't know that much about Thor, and I don't have the time to do it, but I don't know if what they're saying is right or wrong. If any of you guys are like comic book fans or know well about Thor, tell me if the stuff they're saying is correct or not. Because to be honest, a lot of it could be misinterpreted, or it could be exactly what they're saying. The only reason I'm saying this is because they've done this a lot of times where they say this character could do this or they could do that crazy stuff, and then you check the feed, and I've checked it myself, and I've actually skimmed through it and looked at it, and it doesn't mean exactly what they mean, or it was just an outright lie, or they're making stuff up, or because they're taking one single panels and taking an image off of that, and there's not enough context for that. Context always matters when it comes to these things. So yeah, even if what they're saying might be true, just take it with a grain of salt. You guys need to notice when they use these bigger ones, a lot of times comic books, they do these things where they put these extreme outliers that don't really make sense. And the problem with a lot of fans is they don't understand how, these versus battles or these, battles work, because they think that, if this is a crazy feat, then that's the thing. It matters about consistency. Is this feat been shown consistently throughout their career? And it doesn't have to be throughout every instance, but consistently enough throughout, their story and stuff. If it's like a one-time thing, you can't really use that, because you can also use that for negative stuff. Like if they got hurt by something one time, you're gonna be like, well, they're that weak. So it's hard. I feel like a lot of debaters, especially when it comes to Seth Programmer or Chuck, the problem with them is a lot of times they take these overly I guess you could say crazier, more either hyperbolic statements, or take these highball feats and then use them as their consistent feat, which is not true. And that's one problem I have with Seth Programmer and Chuck, is these guys don't try to see through it and say, hey, look, this might not be it. They're just like, well, he did this crazy feat, so let's just put it in. It's like, that's not how it works. So I have a problem with that. I'll probably make a video about that in the future, but for right now, let's just get on to the video.
In a second, as there are grains of sand on Earth. Oh wait, did I say Earth? I meant 10 million billion Earths. Thor has tanked disintegration beams.
Shook the universe with Thormal Blast. Exceeded Odin as king of Asgard. I think that was his real king, Thor. Shattered the roots of Yggdrasil, which holds the dimensions of all reality. Snapped adamantium alloy cables. Outsped a living planet across the solar system. Kept fighting while impaled. He'd never defeated Sentry. That one's bullshit. He fought Sentry, never beat Sentry. He never beat Surtur. Surtur is he's the god. I think he's like a god, but he basically destroyed Asgard. He never beat Surtur. Surtur and Sentry are above him. He's beaten Hulk time and time, but those were usually weaker iterations of Hulk, and most of the fights they've had hadn't really been fully concluded.
Mephisto tried to consume his soul, and even withstood a temporal rift that aged normal people to dust. Oh, he's a hard bastard to kill, and even nastier when he loses his temper. By entering a state known as Warrior's Madness, Thor commits an unpardonable sin in Asgardian society, and willingly sacrifices his sanity for a tenfold increase in
10 times so like the apes created form.
That talks like he's in Masterpiece Theater and dresses like he's in What's Opera, Doc. Thor has struggled with being worthy of his father's legacy and throne. But no matter what unbelievable shit Marvel throws at him, Thor always rises to the occasion. Take the time this big machine called the World Engine was controlling Yggdrasil, the world tree that connects 10 universe-sized realms. The World Engine's purpose was to mechanically trick Yggdrasil into disrupting the natural...
I know I hate pausing it a lot. This video is going to be a little long. But one thing I want to say is Thor, in some of his later iterations, he does become the ruler of Asgard, and he does, I think, surpass Odin. And Odin is a very powerful being. He's a sky father, and these beings are like, you know how Beerus is the godly being of his universe? He's like that, but their power is different. Some say that he's even more powerful than Beerus, and that could be the case, but we just don't know how powerful Beerus is fully. But yeah, we've heard that he's put the multiple universes in danger. So I could make a video maybe on how strong is Odin at his full power, but I don't know for right now. I'm gonna skip the introduction stuff. Well, you just need to get to the 55123. Okay. I wonder if they're gonna be using the one from the new manga where he has his ego form. Because they've shown only the blue form, but they might have the ego form, which is 68 so close. What? Oh, but 68 years old down. Yeah, we know. I'm gonna be skipping Vegeta's one a bit because we already know about Vegeta and how the hell, Vegeta and Dragon Ball characters work. This is literally a Dragon Ball channel, so if you're watching this, you already know how powerful they are. Thor's one, most of us don't know. Hell, I don't even know, so I had to keep that one in.
That's right, Vegeta can point and click a planet out of existence with his soul.
The only problem with that one is that was from a filler scene. We don't know if Vegeta at that stage at the same time could destroy planets. People say that he can because he said he could wipe out, the Earth. I made a video on that if he could blow up the Earth, so I'm not going to go into that. If you guys want to find out about that, you guys can go check it out on my YouTube channel. So yeah, I'll put the link in the description down below for that video. Or yeah, I'll put it down below.
He can use ki to fly and do rings. So let's be real. Vegeta's favorite attacks can be some laser. Rapid fire, big ass, grass, big ass, like, no, that's more of a Nappa thing. Kinda like this. Into his Saiyan biology. Whenever a Saiyan survives a life or death struggle, their power increases.
So yeah, they are using Ultra Ego, okay. Yeah, they're using Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan Blue, evolved, that was just Super Saiyan Blue evolved, Ultra Ego.
That's what Frieza was so terrified of. The Saiyan's infinite evolutionary, but to another surviving Saiyan, Kakarot, and a new Saiyan.
Yeah, it's not like Kakarot today. I mean, it is Goku Day, but we're trying to focus on Vegeta's abilities.
Dumbass. Though Vegeta did manage to go with every strike, and he even learned Goku's patented
It's different. You know, one thing that I don't like about them is you can see they're very disingenuous. When it comes to certain characters, they give mostly, feat analysis. Like Thor, it was mostly about what his feats he accomplished, whereas Vegeta is more about backstory and what happened. They have some feats here sprinkled here and there, but it's not enough to get it. And when a viewer watches it who doesn't know about them, they well, look at all the crazy feats they put up for this character. And this character, they're just telling a story. There's probably not that much. So it makes that character look a lot weaker. So I don't really like that. I feel like that's a disingenuous way of, trying to showcase these characters' powers through their post-analysis. Pre-analysis.
But most importantly, with God Ki, he can go even further beyond and become a God Super Saiyan evolved.
Because saying that he can go to godly levels of power doesn't really mean much to the general or normal audience. Normal people aren't like, oh my god, he can reach the levels of a godly being. Like, what does that even mean? Every universe has their own prerequisite of what being a god. Some universes, a character becomes a god, but they're not even that powerful. In other characters, they're ridiculously powerful. So it's like, that really doesn't mean much to the general audience. It just feels like that he doesn't have enough and they're just going by, like, a slim amount of feats that they could use for him.
His power get complete entirely separate dimension.
Yeah, crash Goku into their first fight. Yeah, I don't know why that would not help out anybody. Outmaneuver Frieza and his forces on Namek. See, they're using really, really old feats, and on top of that, these feats are not even impressive feats. If you look at the Thor's feats were some ridiculous stuff. They're talking about him shaking the universe, him messing with Yggdrasil, the multiverse, all this stuff. They're giving us insane feats. This one is not even insane feats. Crush Goku in their first fight, okay. Of a person who doesn't watch Dragon Ball, how strong do they think Goku was in the first fight? Outmaneuver Frieza and his forces on Namek, how is that a feat? Destroy planet Raleigh effortlessly, at least that's a feat. Held on his own against Kid Buu for several minutes. Once again, if they don't know who Kid Buu is or what he's done, and we don't have a full synopsis of what his abilities were, then that doesn't mean anything to people. Train under hundreds of times Earth's gravity, that is something. Scale to Beerus' universe busting power, great. Defeated semi-perfect Cell. See, these are just saying that they defeated these characters doesn't mean stuff to most people that don't watch it because they're like, okay, how powerful are these characters? You're just saying they beat them. You have to give at least a little bit of a backstory of how powerful they are, so it establishes the insane feat itself.
Just by powering up. When Goku fought Beerus, he nearly destroyed the universe. And that was the very first time he ever went Super Saiyan God. Considering we've measured Dragon Ball's Universe 7 to be up to 13 times bigger than our own,
yeah.
He'd need to be punching with that much more energy to bust it. And since the shockwaves of their punches traveled across the universe in seconds, Goku would have had to be punching that fast too. And that's not accounting for Vegeta's training in various exponential transformations. When an amount of power is measured by how many universes...
I wouldn't say he was punching that fast. That doesn't make logical sense. Because what happens when they punch, they collided and then they sent shockwaves. It's not like he was throwing punches while the shockwaves were going. And even then, you can't calculate it because just because the shockwaves were reaching out, because the distance they were going was out to past the universe and going to the Supreme Kai's realm, which is outside of the entire Dragon Ball universe system as a whole. So him throwing punches and stuff, that doesn't calculate his actual speed, because we've seen it. They're still not that fast. They are way faster than light people think. But I wouldn't say that they're that fast. That's just ridiculous.
That power itself becomes incomprehensible. Oh, we're not done. Vegeta can tap into the same monstrous energy Beerus has. Destruction energy. It erases you physically, spiritually, and even temporally, as in it wipes you from time itself. Such is the might of a god of destruction.
Now this is more impressive with features.
Beyond, he seizes that very power. He becomes a warrior fueled only by lust for battle. He becomes Ultra.
But he hasn't perfected at this point, so it's like an incomplete form, so it's not going to really help out as much.
If Vegeta's head wasn't big enough before, his Widow's Peak probably has its own zip code by now. As the offensive counterpart to Goku's Ultra Instinct, Ultra Ego Vegeta is a veritable juggernaut, able to absorb any hits that come his way. He's one of the biggest badasses ever to exist. His life was spent rebelling against the human race. Vegeta became more powerful for Saiyans, but he'll never be put down for long. It's off.
I don't think they need to give this whole story synopsis a lot of times. They could just go to the feats, because nobody's coming here to get a character analysis. If they wanted that, there's tons of YouTube channels where they give you a whole explanation on these characters and what they are and their backstory. And it's not necessary for this one. This one, where people care more about the fight, not who they are. And especially if they want to know about Vegeta or Thor, read a comic. watch the Dragon Ball or, you know, read the Dragon Ball mangas. Like,
Be over.
yeah, I had a feeling they were gonna make Thor win.
Oh, I get it. Thor won because he's a natural blonde. Despite Vegeta's immense power and tenacity, the God of Thunder had him outmatched in several key areas. First off, the big one, who was stronger, despite being up against the God of Strength.
If Thor was given the Thor Force, he'd scale to multiversal level feats like likes of Odin, furthering the gap in power. Like I said, I've heard that Odin is multiversal level and you know, power and stuff, but arguably so are the Dragon Ball characters. Also, the multiversal level feats. Like I said, I don't know how exactly correct that is, how powerful Odin is. I can do some research. It might be the case, it might not be, but I think I need to do research before I, you know, officially say yes or no. So they do, for right now, I'm just gonna say they have a point right there. The Master Ultra Instinct Goku is still weaker than several beings in the universe, including Broly, hence Vegeta's Ultra Ego likely cannot scale to Broly's full power. That's true. The reason they're saying this is because they had the Hulk versus Broly, and Broly wanted that one, and if the Hulk is comparable to, you know, Thor's power, then, you know, if Broly beats him, then he would have beaten him, but he's not at that level. But still, like I said, the Ultra Ego thing, the problem with it is he just newly got it. He used it once, and he obviously hasn't mastered it. And we don't know if he's going to stay, because he did state that that's not the kind of guy he is anymore, where he can just think about destruction like Beerus. So he might not even have it anymore after this. Who knows what route they will go with Vegeta in the manga.
Which is extremely similar to Ultra Ego in theme and purpose. Given this is the best current example of a measurable form akin to Ultra Ego, we can assume that Ultra Ego's boost in power, at least initially, could be extremely similar in terms of a percentage increase, making Ultra Ego's original state about 20 times more powerful than fully evolved. With that,
Savage Hulk has battled Hyperion, who survived the collision of two universes at the same time. This also includes Warriors Manuals, which multiplies Thor's power. I mean, well, that doesn't mean that that Thor was equal to Hyperion, but also that two universes collide. And once again, I'm gonna have to look through these stuff. Like I said, I know this one's not gonna be as good as my other ones, because those other ones I had time. It was because those ones are years old, so I had time to look at it and stuff and do analysis, and I knew more about them. Thor, not that much. I knew more about Superman. I knew more about not that much about the Flash, but far more about the Flash than, you know, Thor.
in mind, Vegeta at his peak could destroy a universe roughly 260,000 times over. And Thor was pretty close to that. Taking a look at the Marvel Universe's size, which has a radius of it.
The only problem with that statement that they said, they were just doing the multipliers from the transformations. They're not talking about how consistently stronger they get throughout just their power itself. Because if you look at Goku versus Hit, when Goku first fought Hit, he went Kaioken times 10, and even then he didn't feel like he could win it. And when he gave up and stuff, his body gave out instantly right afterwards, and he would have probably lost anyway. But when he fought him in the rematch after, you know, the Goku Black Arc, he was able to take out Hit and destroy his dimensional barrier. And this was when Hit was not holding back because in the tournament, he was holding back because he had there was the no killing rules, so he was trying to abide by the rules. This one, he was targeted to kill Goku, so he was going all out, using all of his abilities, using all of his forms, and he got stronger. And you know, Goku defeated him without even having to go Kaioken at all, without even doing times 10. So he was able to beat him. So that is also incorrect. I will give them props for the fact that they do multiply with the transformations, but the fact that they don't just stay stagnant in power and then they multiply that power just by transforming. They get stronger as they train, so he would get stronger. Like I said, Goku at that time would have at least gotten 10 times stronger since he was able to beat Hit without it. And that's at least, obviously Hit would be stronger at that point, and Hit was not holding back. He was going off for killing intent, so that would have been also more intense.
At least a trillion light years, as well as scaling to the world.
Also, the size of it, I don't know how big the Marvel size is. I knew how big the DC size is, but remember, once again, they got the scaling for that one wrong. They said there was like millions of times bigger than our universe, and I mean billions of times bigger than our universe, and a couple millions of times bigger than Dragon Ball universe. But when you did the calculation, it was like I think hundreds or maybe thousands. So it wasn't as close as they made it sound like.
Thor ended up only about 10 times stronger. Not terribly different, and it's definitely possible.
I wouldn't put Thor's Warrior Madness on World Breaker Hulk's level. I would never put that, because World Breaker Hulk was one of his strongest forms. Right now, they're doing the whole stuff, the Immortal Hulk and the Devil Hulk and all these other stuff now with the Starship Hulk, which is getting very intense. But yeah, they're saying that these guys are the same, but they're not showing the feats where that was the case. Because let's be honest, if Thor did come to fight the Hulk at that time, Hulk would have slept him. Even if he had the Warrior Madness, Hulk would have slept him. So I wouldn't compare him to Hulk's level. Just because they fight a lot against each other, that doesn't mean they're comparable. I think Hulk is decently stronger than Thor. And there's going to be something interesting that's coming up, so I will mention that later.
But even if he was stronger, it wasn't the only thing that mattered. Ultra Ego's damage absorption could only do so much against an opponent like Thor.
Vegeta may have trained as a warrior from birth, but Thor has been fighting for millennia against a much wider variety of foes.
I had a feeling it was it.
Vegeta fairly easily.
And the fact that Thor was way faster gave him a lot of leeway to use that extra combat experience.
Applying Vegeta's transformation multipliers to the shockwaves from Goku and Beerus' punches, Vegeta should be able to fight at nearly 300 quintillion times the speed of light.
But scaling to areas moving within planck time, Thor would be over 70 quadrillion times.
Once again, I wouldn't take this too serious because Planck distance is the shortest distance, so that would basically mean that he's one of the fastest characters in all of fiction and ridiculously broken speed, which Thor, I could see him being very fast, but I wouldn't put him this level because this will put him on the levels of Flash or even beyond Flash levels, which, let's be honest, he's not Barry Allen speed, he's not Wally West speed, he's not, Reverse Flash speed. This is just, I think, a little bit of over-exaggeration. This probably was taken out of context, and once again, if you guys know more, send me a link to what, comic book it was so I can read it myself, because I want to get more of my own opinion instead of just going based off of what they're saying. And if there's a YouTuber out there, if you're watching, and if you're not, if somebody can send me a link to there where they know more about Thor, where they can give me comic books where I can go check out on my own to see if this is accurate, I will do it. But yeah, right now, I'm not going to say that they're wrong, but I'm not going to also say that they're 100% right. This does seem like an over-exaggeration and an outlier, and I don't like when people do this in debates. They need to realize, is this how fast Thor usually fights? No. Let's be honest, this is not how fast he usually fights. If that was the case, countless beings that he fought would not be a challenge to him.
Faster.
More than fast enough to avoid Vegeta's key attacks, and even more importantly, absorb all of them with Mjolnir. This alone could shut down all of Vegeta's...
I already said the absorption shit. They do that too much. People assume that just because a character has an ability to absorb, that means they can absorb everything and anything and any amount of energy. There's always going to be a limit to how much energy they can absorb and what they're absorbing. Also, that absorption stuff, he probably did it once in a while, but it's not something that he viably uses very often. That is just... That's what I hate when people use that stuff. They have one feat, and then they're like, yep, they win. But it's just like, they don't use that feat that much, and that feat must have drawbacks to it, or he must be having some limitations. To say that since it absorbs certain characters' energy from Marvel, that means it can absorb any energy, especially Ki, is just ridiculous to say. That's just like BS when they want to give him. Yeah, they're using one panel. What if this is like, it depends on what type of energy he was absorbing. Like, sorry for that, I reached my time limit. But this is what I hate when people do this type of stuff in these, videos where they take these one type stuff. It's like, if you're going to want to really prove it to me, you have to show me more and stuff. Like, you have to show me more than just one. Because they used this panel before and then they're using it again. And it seems like it's something that he only did once, or it's very limited to what he could absorb. And they're trying to show this as like, oh, it's one of those... no limit fallacy type of abilities where you can use it against anything and to any extent. So I don't take that seriously. I don't even know how much energy this guy has. Probably he had nowhere near as much. So it's like, it doesn't really matter the amount of energy he was absorbing. Yeah, I don't take this one too serious.
Without absorption, Vegeta's key reserves are not infinite, and many of his...
You don't need it to be infinite.
Energy. He was exhausted by the end of the tournament of power, which lasted about 1 hour in total.
Meanwhile, Thor fought an army for over a month straight.
Well, here's the thing. There's a difference about who you're fighting. He was fighting against Topo and Jiren. These guys were highly powerful beings that were like, beyond universe level, multiple universe level destructive power, multiversal level power. So the amount of energy he needed to exert to be able to deal damage to them or handle them was a lot higher energy output. Whereas Thor, he was fighting a bunch of giants and trolls and stuff. they don't really require that much power. They're not, the giants and trolls are not planet, these guys are not, you know, universe level of beings. They're probably not even planet level beings. So the amount of energy you would need to destroy creatures of that like magnitude and power isn't the same as it does for just two characters who are at least multiversal level. So yeah, it depends on the amount of the characters that he's fighting. So to say that, well, Vegeta's reserves were depleted in such a short time, well, who is he fighting? Who the hell was Thor fighting? Thor was fighting a bunch of nameless, weak army soldiers. It's like saying that, you know, Vegeta was fighting endless hordes of Frieza's men, and he was able to fight them for multiple days. His energy must have increased. No, he was fighting against weaker beings that required less energy to use to defeat them. It really depends on who you're fighting. That's what a lot of people can use to misconstrue, you know, these arguments to make another character win.
Theoretically, Vegeta could have ended the fight immediately with Hakai, if not for the fact that Thor has resisted existence erasure before, including physically, spiritually, and temporally.
Meanwhile, Vegeta had no way to...
Yeah, that's just BS. That's straight up BS. Thor is not that powerful. He does not... If he can resist that type of stuff, then how come him getting hit by, like, you know, characters who are not even that powerful can damage him, you know? The punches are not that powerful to have the power of erasure. And I don't think Vegeta has the ability, like, full-on Hakai to completely erase everything like that. But their argument about he can do this, once again, context matters. So I wouldn't take that too seriously.
Which could have killed friggin' Galactus. And that guy
I don't believe that, because if that was the...
multiverse with destruction just as a side effect of his...
The problem with using Galactus is a lot of people have... If you're a comic book fan, you know... For people who are not comic book fans, they think Galactus is very powerful. But if you are a comic book fan, you know that he's a jobber. He loses to a lot of people. He lost to Silver Surfer, the guy who gave him his power. He lost to Thanos without the Infinity Gauntlet. He lost to Odin. He lost to, you know, multiple other characters. He lost to the Hulk. So they're saying that he's this powerful, but whenever you see him in a fight, he's never that powerful. He got killed by one of Hulk's sons, Scar. He basically poisoned a planet that he ate, and that killed him. If he's that powerful, I'm pretty sure a planet getting poisoned wouldn't have been able to kill the guy or even harm him.
Power beyond anything we've seen in Dragon Ball yet, let alone...
I wouldn't say that. It's not true.
It's never going to go down easy, but Thor's raw power, speed, and devastating godly abilities were too much for the Prince of All Saiyans.
Vegeta beyond nearly won until Thor blew his mind.
You might say that pun was kind of terrible. Well, the winner is Thor.
Let's see who the next fight's gonna be. If it's gonna be an interesting one, I'll probably react to that one next.
We'll be jumping into the next matchup next week, but you can always get more Death Battle right now.
Shut up and hurry up and show us.
Right over there, and by downloading the battle music.
Oh my god.
Down below.
Okay. Omni-Man? Oh, against Homelander. Now that one's gonna be a dope one. I'm gonna actually react to that one. I've watched both the shows. I love The Boys. I love you know, Invincible. I think they're great, and those two characters seems very similar. So I need to watch it. But if I'm gonna be honest, I'll give it to Omni-Man. Just right now, I'm just saying I'm gonna give it to Omni-Man over Homelander. I don't think Homelander is that strong. So yeah, I'm gonna give my post analysis on the fight and what I think they got wrong in it. Okay, sorry for this video. I feel like this video compared to the other ones, I felt like I had the least amount of information, the least input in it, because the other ones, like I said, I had information and stuff. I'm gonna probably do some more research on Thor, because this is not gonna be the end of it. This is just my reaction video to theirs and, you know, a bit of an analysis to it. So I'm gonna be having a full-on breakdown video about this one later in the future. I'm gonna be doing some research on Thor and stuff. Sadly, like I said, they don't give you really like they don't give me links or referrals to what comic books they pull this out of. I'm gonna just have to look through it myself. Hopefully you guys are nice enough to tell me. Maybe I can find in this comment section, maybe I can find somebody else's video that did it. I'm gonna be doing some research, so I'm not done with this one. I am gonna be, you know, pointing out, because I do think there's some holes in it. But for right now, I'm gonna give you what some of the problems that I had with their arguments that they used. They said that Thor had more experience of battles and against different creatures. But here's the problem with that. Were the creatures that Thor fighting, were they, you know, when we're talking about like fighting itself, were the beings that he was fighting, were they very well known for their martial arts or fighting ability, or were they just wild beasts? Because most of the time that he spent fighting, even though he was fighting against other warriors, these beings were usually faceless enemies. For countless like eons, he would fight, or not eons, but for like countless you know, years and stuff, he would fight he would be fighting, just giants. Because what Thor really did, if you read the comics or seen the shows and stuff, is it's mentioned throughout most of his time as in, Asgard. It was him trying to stop Loki's, tricks and plans. Him fighting frost giants that are trying to invade, Asgard when Odin is sleeping in his, Odin sleep. When he's asleep, he fought frost giants, which aren't really that powerful or known for their skill. They're just giant beings that are there for destruction. And most of the creatures that he fought throughout the time, they might be considered warriors, but let's be honest, they're not warriors on the level of Dragon Ball characters. They're not known for their martial arts. If you look at their fighting abilities, they're not going to be known as highly trained, skilled fighters that are, deadly assassins or martial artists. They're just going to be brutish warriors that just go in and smash and wreck and pillage anything that they see in sight. So most of his fights that he had were against mindless beasts or beings that weren't that skilled of fighters. And even though when he fought, with the Avengers and stuff, the amount of time they fought in the Avengers isn't as long as he did those other battles. Those other battles were basically against beings that weren't really that much of a challenge. He was already way stronger than them, so he already had a leg up against them. Also, those beings that he fought were not known for martial arts or fighting skills or having fighting prowesses. And even when he fights in, the Marvel, when he goes to the Earth, the beings he's fighting are also not martial artists. He fights some of them. I mean, hell, the Hulk has been able to get shots on him and beat him up. The Hulk has been able to defeat him or put him on the back foot severely and, push him very hard. And the Hulk is not known for his martial arts either. He's known for his brute strength and, wild brawler style fighting. So to say that, well, he had more time and stuff, it's very... I feel like a lot of people use this to trick people, saying, well, look at the amount of time. But you have to look more deep into it. It isn't just about the amount of time or amount of opponents he fought. It's like, the saying, it's quality over quantity. He has more quantity because he has more years and more people he's battled, but Vegeta has more quality. The beings that he's battled are far more skilled fighters. And if you just look at it in general, are you going to tell me that Thor is a more skilled combatant than Vegeta? No. No way in hell are you going to convince me that Thor is a better fighter than Vegeta. Thor is a warrior and he does have fighting skills, but usually the fighting skills he uses are against weaker beings. He's not challenging himself against, high level fighters like Vegeta did. So I don't count that. He also said he's way faster. He used one instances of saying the playing time, saying, yep, this is how fast he is in general, which, like I said, a lot of people use this to manipulate these battles to say that they can do this. First of all, show me more than one instance that he did. Show me the consistency of it. You show me one, also didn't show you even the full context of this. I bet if I really read the comic book, you will find out that it was far more complex than this. And they said, Thor fought this guy, but what if that was like the guy had like some godly amp and that's why he did that, and Thor fought this guy when he never had the godly amp, so he never fought him that speed. So I want to say that that's his actual speed. I think he would be far slower than that because that's basically saying that he would be the fastest character, faster than the Flashes, and do crazy stuff like that. So I don't believe that. Also, even though he can fly with Mjolnir, the thing about it is, what is easy has better maneuverability, Vegeta's flight or Thor tossing his hammer? Because let's be honest, when Thor tosses his hammer, he goes into a straight direction. He can fight a little bit here and there, like move around here and there, but he doesn't have as much as mobility as Vegeta. He can't just go back and forth, go around. Vegeta's just genuinely flying, so he can do whatever he wants when he's flying, especially with his martial arts abilities. It makes him more versatile when it comes to fighting in flight. Whereas Thor, he mostly goes one direction. He might go like a little bit to the side, but he has to keep on relaunching it. So that speed in combat really doesn't matter as much because, like I said, combat speed and travel speed are two different things, especially in Thor's case because he launches forward and it's like he's throwing it. It's hard to throw it and then move to another direction, whereas Vegeta's flying back and forth from the directions. So I would give, even if you could say Thor's faster, Vegeta has far better mobility with his speed, so it could be more viable in a fight compared to Thor's one, where it's more directly aimed on and it's easier to predict. Also, they said that he's stronger than him. I don't know about that. He could be arguably. They said he hasn't fought anybody that level of power. I don't believe that. That's BS. The Galactus thing, I told you, he's a jabroni. Let's be honest. Anybody that knows Galactus knows he's a jobber. He's lost countless times to beings that are far weaker than him. So trying to say he's multiversal level, I wouldn't say that. He is stated to be that, but he's shown to be defeated by weaker characters. That energy absorption thing, I think, is also BS. They only showed one image. If you really want to prove it, show multiple images, showcase multiple times, and the level of skill. Because, first of all, we don't know if that was a one-time ability that he did, or is that something he can continuously do? And the guy that he absorbed his energy, we don't know if it was because he had that he could absorb that certain type of energy, or the amount of energy that the guy was able to release was that high. Because let's be honest, Vegeta's power would be beyond universe level of energy that he would be releasing. So he would need, Thor's hammer would need to be able to absorb that amount of energy. Whereas that other being probably was not even, probably was the most planet level. So he was absorbing planet level energy attacks, and we're supposed to say that could be equivalent to absorbing universe level destroying attacks. That's ridiculous. A lot of the times they're saying he compares to this character who was able to do this crazy feat. But the problem with that is they didn't show us him fighting it. And also in comics, they have different variations of this. They have different levels of power. So we don't know which levels of power they fought. So it's very inconsistent in that regard. And I already pointed it out, it's kind of biased when you say Vegeta beat this character. Okay, he beat that character as a feat. How powerful is that character? You showed no feat to how powerful that character is when he beat him. So it really doesn't mean much to the general audience. Before, when there was Thor's one, when they ever stated he was fought this character, fought that character, they literally stated how powerful that character was. Which, like I said, is biased. Because Vegeta's hand, they're just saying he beat this character, and they're not giving information on how powerful that character is. So it really doesn't mean much. Whereas Thor's one, when they do compare him to somebody else, they give you literally, they explain, well, this character is this powerful. So that means more when he beats a certain character compared to Vegeta's. That's also disingenuous. Like I said, I don't know enough about Thor to say they're 100% wrong, but I do feel like that they're lying in a lot of aspects. I'm going to be, right after this, I'm going to be looking up Thor comics. Hopefully I can fight the right ones where they had these feats. I'm going to be specifically looking for these feats and trying to see if they're correct. And I'll be making a video in the future trying to debunk this. If they're correct, I'm going to just say, yes, they're correct and show the information. If they're not correct, I'm going to give you it because, especially like, you know, I've already proven this with their, you know, first Superman versus Goku video, their second one, and I've proven this with their reverse Flash versus Flash video, and I've even done it with their Kirby video and stuff. They're very manipulative when it comes to their information, so I want to take it too seriously. But yeah, that's it for this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. You know, I know it wasn't as great, but I will be making debunking videos, so stay tuned for that. I don't know when it will be coming out. I'll just be doing research for that. Yeah, and stay tuned for my next video. So I hope you have a good day, and see you next video.